All right, back again for another deep dive. Um, we've been looking at some pretty big concepts already with those first few papers from the Urantia book, like the cosmos and the first source and center and everything. But now, this is paper 4, and now we're going to kind of zoom in a bit, I guess. We're going to look at God, like what God is and what God does and how all of that, well, relates to us.
Yeah, and I think one of the really cool things about this paper is that it doesn't just, throw out all these like mystical ideas. It tries to kind of define God's attributes in a way that even with, our limited human minds can at least try to grasp.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it tackles some big questions too, like for instance, how can God be everywhere at once? We've
Yeah.
talked about how huge the cosmos is, right?
Yeah.
Super universes, all that.
Yeah.
But this paper says God is present everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. In fact, there's even a quote in the book where God says, "I am a God at hand as well as afar off." And it goes on to say that God is present in all parts and hots of creation.
So that means not just out in those galaxies, those distant galaxies and swirling nebulae that we've talked about,
Mm.
but like right here with me right now.
Hmm.
I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right?
It is a big deal. It's a concept called omnipresence, and it's one of the main, one of the defining attributes of God, according to the book. And it's not just this sort of vague spiritual idea, like it gets really specific. The book states that space is like no barrier to God. I mean, think about that for a second. We're bound by time and space, but God isn't.
Okay, but wait a second. Now hold on. We've also learned about other creators, other beings that are out there, involved in creating the master universe. So how does God's omnipresence work with that? You know what I mean?
So that's a really great point. You're remembering what we've talked about when we talked about those universes that are outside of Havona. And you're right. God's omnipresence is, well, limited in those outer
I
universes.
mean, but I thought God's supposed to be, omnipresent everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the key here is respect for the other creator's sovereignty. God isn't about controlling everything. It's about collaboration, and respecting the autonomy of other beings within the whole grand scheme of things. This is a really different way to think about an all-powerful God than than what we normally think of, wouldn't you say?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a cosmic courtesy or something. But I'm still a bit confused, on how God can be present everywhere in our universe, at least.
Yeah.
Like given how truly huge it is. I mean, how's that work?
Well, the book explains that God's omnipresence operates through a few different channels, So
Yeah.
there's the eternal Son, the infinite Spirit, and the Isle of Paradise. You can kind of think of them as like extensions of God's presence that are just woven into the very fabric of reality.
Okay. And then there's the thought adjusters. Those little pieces of the Father, those fragments of the Father that actually reside within each and every one of us. We've talked about how incredible they are, but it's even more mind-blowing considering that they're another way that God is present with us directly.
For sure. Absolutely. The thought adjusters are just a perfect example of how God's omnipresence isn't just this like abstract idea, It's personal. It's happening within each of us right now.
Okay, so that's omnipresence. But what about omnipotence? The whole idea of God being all powerful. I mean, if God's everywhere, does that mean God controls everything?
Oh, that's where things get really interesting. So the book does actually confirm that God is, all powerful. There's a part that refers to God as the Lord God omnipotent reigns. But then it throws in this really kind of crazy, wild curveball.
Let me guess. There are things God can't do.
You got it. That's right. The book says that even with omnipotence, God can't do the non-doable.
Hold on. Even with infinite power, there are limitations.
Yeah. It's kind of a paradox, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it for a minute, right? I mean, God wouldn't act against their own divine nature, right? It's not about like arbitrary limitations. It's about God's actions always being in line with truth, beauty, goodness, things like that.
So it's not that God can't do certain things, in a simplistic way, but it's more like God chooses not to act against their own nature.
Exactly. Yeah. God's power isn't like this chaotic, force. It's perfect control, perfect wisdom, and always thinking about the good of the whole.
Okay. This makes me think of another question that's always kind of bothered me. Sometimes things happen in the universe, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
tragedies, natural disasters, things like that, and it almost feels like God is like making emergency decisions or changing the rules on the fly. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, it's really easy to feel that way from our limited human perspective, right? But the book actually reassures us that that's not actually happening at all. God's actions make total perfect sense when you look at things from, that bigger internal perspective.
Yeah.
It's just that we can't always see the whole picture.
So it's not about God like
Oh,
reacting to events as they happen, but more like God's plan is unfolding, in ways that we can't always see or comprehend.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like trying to understand this huge symphony by just listening to like one single note. You need the whole composition to really appreciate, the beauty and the meaning.
That's a great analogy. I like that. It makes me feel a bit better, about all the chaos in the world, knowing that there's like this bigger picture at play.
For sure, yeah. And remember that even within that bigger picture, God has given us free will. So our choices also play a role in how things unfold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. This all kind of ties into another point the book makes about God's presence. This
Yeah.
this idea that it can fluctuate, and that's one of those things that can be a little troubling. If you take it literally.
Yeah. It's definitely a concept that requires some unpacking, I guess.
Mm.
But it's not about God getting like, moody or offended by things that we do.
Oh, okay. So God's not up there with some sort of like cosmic mood ring, changing colors based on how we're behaving, right?
No, not quite. No.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. God's presence is kind of like a radio station that's broadcasting at full power,
Mm.
right? We're the ones holding the radio, and our choices determine how clearly we receive that signal.
Okay. Gotcha. So it's not about God changing, but about us changing how open we are to experiencing God.
That's right. Exactly. Our choices determine how much we let God, work in our lives. We can choose to tune in or we can choose to tune out.
So okay, so we've talked about how God is everywhere, omnipresent and all powerful, omnipotent, but also that God chooses to operate within certain principles, and we talked about how our choices affect our experience of God's presence. But now I'm kind of curious about this everywhere that God is present in. What is this reality, that we keep talking about? Like, what is it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Neil. And paper 4 actually digs into this pretty deeply. It starts by explaining that reality isn't just like one thing. It's actually categorized into different levels.
Different levels of reality, like some kind of cosmic video game levels or something.
Yeah, I kind of like that way of thinking at it. It's not that simple, but the analogy works. So the first level is called undeified reality.
Undeified meaning like not related to God.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Think of it as like the raw material of the universe. So energy, matter, the basic building blocks of everything that exists. It's just potential waiting to be shaped.
Okay, so undeified reality is kind of like it's like that primordial soup, before life emerged.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect analogy. And then you have deified reality, which is everything that's been like, touched by God, infused with spirit and mind and purpose. Think of personalities, spiritual beings, even the relationships between those beings.
Ah, okay. So deified reality is where things get really interesting then. I mean, it's where we actually see God's influence, shaping and transforming existence.
Right. Yeah.
got it.
It's that realm of spirit and mind and personality.
Yeah.
The things that actually make existence meaningful and purposeful. It's like taking all those raw ingredients from that undeified realm and baking them into this incredible cosmic cake or something.
Right. All right. I'm with you so far. So undeified reality
Yeah.
is the raw potential, and deified reality is where God's influence comes in. But I have a feeling that there's more to this.
Yeah.
Right. There's more to this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a third category called interassociated reality, and this is where things get a little more mind bending, you know.
Interassociated, so like a blend of
Yeah,
the two.
exactly. It's that gray area where the deified and the undeified like interact and kind of overlap. It's those things that are tough to classify as purely one or the other.
So it's like the cosmic mixing bowl then, where the raw potential of undeified reality meets the divine influence of deified reality.
Perfect way to put it. It's a really fascinating concept because it suggests that reality isn't, you know, as black and white as we might think. There's these subtle gradients, you know, these interactions between these different levels of existence.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really making me see the universe in a whole new way. But it also makes me wonder, like, how did all of this even begin? Where did reality itself come from in the first place?
That's the big question, isn't it? And the book says that the first source and center, God, is the ultimate origin of everything that exists. You know, God initiates and maintains all of it.
Okay, so God's like the cosmic wellspring then.
Yeah.
You know, like everything flows from God.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, but it's not like this simple thing where God just, you know, snapped their fingers and everything appeared out of thin air or something like that. The book actually, it gets into some pretty complex cosmology here. It starts talking about the deity absolute and the unqualified absolute. Okay, now you're losing me a little bit. What are these absolutes?
All right, stick with me here. Now this might sound kind of abstract, but imagine like two fundamental aspects of reality, right? So the deity absolute represents the potential for everything divine, you know, personality, spirit, mind. It's like the realm of pure godness.
Okay, I think I'm kind of getting that. So the deity absolute is like God's side of the equation. What about the unqualified absolute?
Okay, so the unqualified absolute, that represents everything that is not God, everything that exists outside of the divine. It's the raw material of existence, the potential that hasn't yet been, you know, touched by God.
So it's like the deity absolute is all about spirit and personality, and the unqualified absolute is about, you know, pure potentiality.
Yeah, you're getting it. And here's where it gets really interesting. The book describes a kind of tension between these two absolutes. It's like a push and pull that actually drives the creative process.
Wait. So you're saying that the tension between what's God and what's not God is what actually creates things.
Yeah. Think of it like this. The deity absolute, right? It's that pure potentiality for everything spiritual. The unqualified absolute, well, it's everything else. It's that raw material of existence, and it's the interaction between the two, the push and pull, you know, that sparks creation.
Okay, that's wild. So it's not just God acting alone then, but it's this dynamic interplay between these two like fundamental aspects of reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's like two poles of a magnet, you know, like pushing and pulling, and it's creating this dynamic energy that gives rise to everything that we know. And then there's also the universal absolute, which comes in to kind of unify and harmonize everything.
And the universal absolute, another absolute.
I know. It's a lot to take in. But think of the universal absolute as the force that brings balance. You know, it resolves the tension between the deity absolute and the unqualified absolute, and it creates this unified and harmonious reality.
So it's like the universal absolute is like the cosmic peacemaker then, right? Like making sure everything works together.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah, it ensures that reality is both diverse and unified. You know, it's a place where God's influence can interact with that raw potential of existence. And it creates that incredible, you know, variety and complexity that we see in the universe.
Okay. This is blowing my mind wide open.
Yeah.
It really is. But it also makes me think, you know, like where do we fit into all of this? I mean, we're tiny little tiny little specks compared to the vastness of the cosmos. But we're also told that we're made in the image of God.
Yeah, that's one of the most, one of the most profound paradoxes of our existence, isn't it? We are finite beings, living in a finite world, yet we possess this spark of the infinite within us.
And that spark of the infinite, that connection to God, it comes from the thought adjuster. The thought adjuster residing within each of us.
That's it. Exactly. We may not be able to grasp the totality of reality, the deity absolute, the unqualified absolute, all of that. But we can experience it, we can participate in it, and we can even contribute to its ongoing evolution.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying that our choices, our actions, they actually have an impact on the evolution of reality itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The book really emphasizes, that we're not just passive observers in this grand drama. We actually have the power to choose, how we interact with reality, how we respond to God's presence, and how we contribute to the unfolding of the divine plan.
Wow. Okay. This is giving me like a whole new sense of responsibility.
Yeah.
But also a sense of awe and wonder.
Yeah.
It's like we're being invited to participate in something much, much bigger than ourselves.
That's it. That's the message. We're not just insignificant specks in this vast universe. We are children of the universal Father, and we're endowed with the potential to grow, to evolve, and ultimately to achieve a destiny that's beyond anything we can even imagine right now.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, in this deep dive. We talked about God's omnipresence, omnipotence, those different levels of reality, even those pretty mind-bending absolutes. But there's one concept from paper 4 that I really want to kind of unpack.
Mm-hmm.
This whole idea of personality. Like what does it even mean to be a person? Not just in a human sense, but in this this whole vast cosmic scheme that we've been talking about.
That's a really fascinating question, and it's something that this paper really emphasizes. Personality is like at the heart of God's creation, and it's a key to understanding our place in the whole universe.
So where does personality fit in then with all those different categories of reality that we talked about?
Well, remember how we talked about deified reality. That realm of existence that's been touched by God, infused with spirit and mind and purpose. Personality is like a prime example of that. It's not just a human thing, it's a cosmic thing.
Oh wow. So we're not just talking about like me and you sitting here, having this conversation. We're talking about personalities existing like all throughout the universe, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Think about all the amazing beings, all the amazing beings that we've already encountered in the Urantia Book. The Paradise Creator Sons, the Ancients of Days, the Seven Master Spirits, all of them. I mean, they're all examples of personalities on just a massive scale. And then there's us down here on Urantia, each with our own unique and evolving personalities.
Yeah, it's really mind blowing when you think about it like that.
Yeah.
That we're part of this incredible spectrum of personalities. And we're all interconnected in some way. It's crazy.
And what's even more fascinating is that personality isn't it's not static. It's dynamic. It grows. It evolves through experience. We're not just born with some kind of fixed personality that never changes. We have the power to shape it, to develop it as we journey through life.
Yeah. This makes me think about those thought adjusters again. We've talked about how they're a way for God to be present within each of us, but are they also involved in the development of our personalities too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The thought adjuster is it's like this divine partner, that's guiding us and inspiring us and helping us to, align our choices with the Father's will. It's like having a piece of God's wisdom and love, like living inside us, nudging us towards our highest potential.
Ah, okay. So it's like having a personal trainer for our souls, like
Yeah.
like helping us become the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah. I love that analogy, and remember that this process of personality evolution, it isn't just about becoming a good person, in that conventional sense. It's about expanding our capacity for love, wisdom, service. It's about aligning ourselves with the divine plan, and contributing to the good of the whole.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it also sounds like a pretty long journey. Does it take like lifetimes to fully develop our personalities?
Well, luckily, we're not just left to wander around aimlessly, hoping that we stumble upon the right experiences. Paper 4 outlines this sevenfold path, of progressive spiritual growth that can really help us on this journey. It's like a roadmap for our souls.
A sevenfold path. Okay, so what is that?
Right. So it starts with the paradise creator sons, right? The beings who designed and oversee our local universes, and they represent that first step in understanding, the divine. Think of them like cosmic architects. They lay the groundwork for our spiritual evolution.
Okay. Okay, so we start with that local universe level. What comes next?
Oh, and then we move on to the Ancients of Days,
Yeah.
the beings who govern the super universes, and they provide a broader perspective. They help us to see the bigger picture of the divine plan.
So it's like we're like zooming out. Then we're
Yeah.
expanding our awareness of God's presence and influence on this grander scale.
Exactly, you got it. And then come the seven master spirits who represent, they represent the mind of God on a universal level. They help us to develop, our intellectual and spiritual understanding. It's like having, cosmic professors who are guiding us through these higher, realms of knowledge.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. It's like a cosmic curriculum for spiritual growth.
Yeah, it really is. And as we continue to ascend, we encounter the supreme being, the evolving God of time and space. The supreme being helps us to kind of synthesize all these experiences and insights that we've gained into this this unified understanding of the divine.
So it's like the supreme being is the cosmic conductor then.
Yeah.
Bringing all the different elements of our spiritual evolution into harmony.
That's a great way to put it. And as we continue to evolve, we move towards even greater understanding, and ultimately we encounter God the Spirit, God the Son, and finally God the Father.
Wow. Okay, that's a journey. That's a journey I can't even imagine. But I'm curious. Do we have to wait?
Yeah.
Until we actually reach paradise to fully experience God then?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the book really emphasizes that we can experience God right here, right now.
Yeah.
It's about opening ourselves up to God's presence in our daily lives, seeking guidance from our thought adjusters, and making choices that align us with the divine will.
Ah, okay. So it's not about reaching some distant destination, but about cultivating a relationship with God in the present moment. Yeah.
Exactly. And as we do that, we begin to see God's hand in everything around us, and our lives become infused with this deeper sense of purpose and meaning.
Wow. Okay, this is really inspiring. It's like we're all on this incredible journey, of discovery and growth, and we have this incredible support system within us and all around us. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is an amazing adventure. And remember, the Urantia book. The Urantia book is just one piece of the puzzle. It's giving us a framework for understanding, but the real journey happens in our hearts, in our minds, in our everyday lives.
Yeah, well, this deep dive, it's been truly transformative for me. It really has. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding, you know, of the universe, of God, and my own place in it all.
I'm so glad to hear that, and remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore, so much more to experience, Keep seeking, keep questioning, keep growing. The universe, it's full of wonders, and you are a part of it all.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this incredible material. It's been an honor to share this deep dive with you and with all of our listeners out there. So until next time, keep those minds open and those hearts curious. We'll see you all next time.